YEA Networks.
To be honest, is the pod going up? To be honest, sit down, we need to have a talk. Cornelius gon' make a point that the others don't. The mother shows sound the same, come escape the box. Expand your mind, dig into no controversial topics. He ain't scared to keep it real. Tune into this podcast, but don't be in your feelings. We gon' have a laugh, we gon' talk about some pain. Let's talk about the present situation of today.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of To Be Honest. This is Cornelius and not Bear. It's Jared, but I
Call me Jared.
call him Jared. Only his friends call him Bear. So if you're not his friend, you don't know him. But yeah, so I hope you've been enjoying To Be Honest so far. But today, I don't know if you know this, but I'm an avid lover of politics and government. It's like my mistress. And so I know that you've kind of jumped into the political arena a little bit.
Well, you know, I'm running for governor
Of what state?
of the United States.
Of the United States.
Governor of the United States.
There you go. He's running for governor of the United States, everybody. So yeah. if you see him on a ballot, then yeah. But you've kind of jumped into the political world a little bit. You've been hosting and
I dabble.
Okay.
I
So
dabble.
tell us kind of more about what that's been looking like.
Well, it's a stretch when he says I jumped into the political world. A far stretch for sure. Because if anybody knows, this man knows that I'm far from a political person. I'm more of an anarchist.
Jesus. To be honest. Okay, anarchist. Okay, but why?
Oh man, just look around. Look around. I think a lot of things need to change.
A lot of things do need to change.
Yeah. It's sad that a lot of things won't change unless there's a lot of fighting and war. But I feel that there should be a lot of change in the political arena as far as the two-party system and just really doing away with that.
Doing away with the two-party system.
Yeah. It just causes a lot of division. Yeah, I feel.
I mean, and here's the crazy thing. So in America, we have two major parties, but there are over 300 some plus political parties that are actually on the docket. Mm-hmm. And I mean, most people don't even know about the other parties. I mean, you have the Green Party, you have the Libertarian Party, you have the Constitution Party. In fact, Kanye, when he ran for president, he started his own political party. It's called the Birthday Party. That is no exaggeration. That is absolutely for real. It's called Birthday Party. But no, it's real. You have the Independent Party. So you have all these parties. Like at one point, Tea Party was its own party, and then they became a subunit of the Republican Party, and then the Republican Party absorbed them, which typically is what happens. Because if you have the Socialist Party, but the Socialist Party became a fringe unit of the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party soaked them in to get them to get votes. Because the idea when it comes around is that it doesn't matter if you vote for, these other, you can vote for Ralph Nader, you can vote for anybody else who's running any other party, but if you don't vote for the two major candidates, then the idea is that your vote doesn't count.
You should get into politics.
You know what? I love politics, man. But you know my story. I tried to run for mayor when I was 17. I tried to convince, this is a real story. In Riverdale, Georgia, I tried to convince the city council to lower the age to 17 to allow for me to run. I'll be running against a woman by the name of Phaedra Graham. That was her name. But the city council, of course, did not choose to do that. So I didn't run. I tried to run. Well, I did run for a Georgia House Representative seat when I turned 21, but I actually exited the race before time. I was running against, I think it was like 7 other people, and I exited the race before it was time because at that time I called the head of the party, and the party said, my problem was you have to have a 12-year residency at your address in order to run. Yeah, I had 11-month residency. And so I called the head of the party and I said, hey, this is my issue. I will only be at my residence for 11 months. At the time of the election, will this be problematic? And they said, no, people do it all the time. And at that time, I couldn't sit with that. knowing that I'm being deceitful from the very beginning. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the right thing and I'm gonna bow out. So I bowed out. And my last time I tried to run for city council of that same city there in Riverdale, Georgia. And I didn't even jump into the race because this older guy, I went to the city council meeting. They had a potluck. We're all sitting around in a circle and they asked me to pray. And I'm the only black dude there, of course. I'm praying, and this older white guy comes up to me and he says, hey, I got some good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? And I said, give me the good news. He said, the good news is that you won't be beating me for my seat. I said, what's the bad news? He said, the bad news for you is that he said, I know where your residence is, and your residence is about 1.5 miles outside of the city ordinance. He was like, so you are ineligible to run for city council. And so, but I love politics.
Yeah.
Love it.
What would you need to do to get out to what would be some of those requirements to actually get into politics out here?
In California?
Same thing, basically.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much basically
Have you thought about
the residency. I mean, of course, I think about it all the time. But the only thing is, like, I'm not active. I'm not actively involved in the political arena out here. Like, I know who my representative is. I know who my mayor is. I know who my city council is. Like, I know the names of these people, but I don't know their voting record. I don't know this, and all that stuff is very important now. And plus, man, I've been in ministry for, close to 20 years, and ministry in itself is a very rough, like it's a very rough a thing, and in my opinion, politics is just the same. And
just as rough,
asking myself,
maybe if not more.
Yeah, and I'm asking I think the thing that I love more about politics is that you expect it in politics.
Yeah,
you don't expect it in ministry. Like, like with other people who you're in ministry with, you don't expect that from them. Yeah, but in politics, you expect dirty. You expect dirty tactics. You expect to fight dirty. You expect all those things. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is not the case.
Well, maybe you should think about it.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should think about it. Maybe I am. It
seems like it's been a desire for yours for a long time.
It has been a desire of mine for a really long time. I don't know if you know this, but I actually had a podcast years ago called Silent Majority. Yeah. And I would sit down and I would dissected the Democratic National Convention, the Republican National Convention. I think that was right around the time that Donald Trump was running for office the first time. I think it was right around that time.
It was actually.
When he was running for office the first time. And which
Definitely
was just a crazy time for the country. And now Donald Trump's running again. And I heard that I heard that your support was elsewhere.
I like Donald Trump. I don't mind Donald Trump at all. Yeah. I even like Joe Biden, but
okay. So answer me a question for this. Yeah. What do you like about Joe?
I think he's a nice guy.
Oh my gosh.
I think he's a nice guy.
And you know what? There's a book that I read.
But that's what people vote on. They vote for. They're going to vote for. People ain't voting for policies. And maybe some people are. Yeah, obviously. But I think the majority of it is, how does that person make you feel? How do they look? Yeah. Right. Do they look the part? Right. Do they play the part? And can they speak well?
Well, a couple of those things I'm not sure about Joe. Especially speaking well part. But I read a book called A First Rate Madness. And the book was really good because it links politics, government, and psychology all together. Yeah. And so basically the author goes through and he analyzes the mind of great political great political leaders and orators. So he takes apart like Martin Luther King Jr., Abraham Lincoln, and he's seeking to find out what makes them great. Like, I didn't know that Dr. King, and from the book, it said Dr. King, he suffered from depression. In fact, I think it was like he tried to commit suicide twice. Abraham Lincoln suffered from depression. And most of these great leaders who did great things, they were disturbed mentally, is what he was getting to. They were all diseased mentally. And the way that the book ends, he's saying that those individuals who are typically the most bombastic, the most like disturbed, are typically the ones who do the best in leadership roles. Those are the ones that you want who are running the country, are running whatever or your organization. He said, but the people who...
So you want mentally ill people running the country?
That's not what I said. 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 I didn't say that. I'm talking about the book said.
Okay.
But he also contrasted. He said the people who were what you would say normal, nice, normal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
George W. Bush, he mentioned him. Tony Blair, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He said those individuals, while they were quote unquote sane or normal, were not the best leaders. And he kind of tears down how it is. So when you read the book, it would make the argument that Donald Trump would
mentally ill people are the best people to run the country.
Mentally ill people are running the country right now. Mentally ill. Well, I won't even say that. I would say right now geriatrics are running the country. It's really sad, bro. Like,
yeah, I mean,
these people are like 70, 80 years old, and they're making decisions based on for generations of people that they know nothing about.
so out of touch. That's Michelle Obama is going to be president.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe Biden's not going to run.
Okay.
In 2024, he's going to step down.
He's going to step down
gracefully.
Okay.
And he's going to
And Michelle's
doing
gonna
right for Michelle Obama.
So what about Kamala? She's out. She's out
She
altogether.
can't hold a candle to Michelle.
I mean, of course she cannot. But okay, let me ask this question. So hypothetically speaking,
and Michelle's not even. I don't even think she's even held a political
she hasn't,
seat.
and she's made it clear multiple times that she said she would never run for never run for president, never run for public office. But that doesn't say anything because Donald Trump. I mean, yeah, everybody says they would never run, and then all of a sudden they jump in and they run. So
yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be far fetched of an idea for her to do that. But at the same time, it's like so who would you in a hypothetical situation? Who would be her vice president?
Kamala. No, I don't think she can actually. You can't be vice president. You can.
Well, you can, but
run for
I don't think the Democrats.
You're going to have a first husband. The first husband is going to be Barack, and he's going to be the actual VP. So they're going to run in tandem. Barack's going to come back and run for VP.
Oh wow! So now you're playing out House of Cards at this point. Did you ever see that show House of Cards on
House
Netflix?
Of Cards, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, House of Cards is amazing.
So you're just playing out House of Cards at this point. So Claire
Really?
runs for president, and then Frank, or I think his name was Frank, right?
Yeah, Frank.
So he just becomes vice president. So you're just playing out House of Cards. Well, at that time, I think Frank was president, and Claire became vice president.
Yeah.
So you're just playing out House of Cards here.
Listen.
So Michelle's going to be president. Barack is going to be vice president.
Yep. And they're going to get the country back in order.
Are they going to get the country back in order?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God. There's
Barack
so much.
Obama was the best president of all time.
There
man.
is
Best
so
president
much.
of all time.
How?
Cause man, he's just a man, bro.
You know what? And that's
I don't know. I don't know his policies, pillars, nothing like that. Don't matter. Don't matter. It's how you make the people feel. How do you show up when times are tough? That's the thing. And Barack was that guy.
You know what? This is what I'll say. I'll say when you come down to cool, swag, just that dude, President Obama, he's that guy. When it comes to
and that's all that
oratory,
matters.
when it comes to being an orator, when it comes to inflection and passion and knowing the right moments and knowing how to deal with people and talk to people and knowing how to retort and all those things, he is hands down the guy. Absolutely. When it comes to all that stuff, I'm completely agreement. When it comes to policy, he loses me.
Yeah, but a president doesn't run the country anyway.
Okay. So I hear people saying that.
Yeah.
I hear people saying that the president doesn't run. So it's almost as if when the argument is brought up that this person is not doing the best policy wise, that the president isn't really in charge of the policy. Which I think Joe Biden is showing you that a president can be in charge of policy. How he just eliminated
when you have
student loans.
you have a cabinet and people that are around you that are pushing for their, for a certain agenda.
But they still have executive order.
Yeah, but
he could still push. He could put President Obama pushed executive order. I thought, and we can thank President Obama for a lot of predominantly black communities that were given. I think they were called. Senator Tim Scott I forget what they were called. They weren't they were green zones or whatever they were called, but it was special places in underserved areas that allowed for you to go in to buy up that property. I think you'd have to pay property taxes on it for some period of time, but it was a way to help revitalize those urban areas that really needed the help. And, you know, I take that back. That wasn't under President Obama. That was under President Trump. But
Just see what he did there.
oh my gosh, I can't believe I messed up with that. But when
mess up.
but when you really come down to policy and who's helping the people, to me, the Democrats lose me every time.
Yeah. Why?
Because when it comes down, okay, so Democrats typically run all the major cities. They do extremely well in a lot of liberal towns, a lot of university towns. So like in Georgia, although Georgia, in my opinion, is purple. It's not red. It's not blue. It's purple. And when you think of like University of Georgia in Athens, Athens, while it is surrounded around, rural areas, because University of Georgia, it votes blue, votes Democrat. And typically in those cities, you see slums. You don't see vibrancy. You don't see it's something's a problem. Like when we go to places like Chicago, there's a problem there. When you go to places like New York City, there's a problem there. And you have to sit back and make the argument, okay, Democrats have been using black people for votes, predominantly, not just black people, but predominantly black women for votes. And now we have to take a step back and ask ourselves the question, what have we gotten from it? What have we gotten out of it?
It's the same with Republicans.
Well, how so?
I mean, what have we gotten from it?
That's what I'm asking you.
But it's not just Republicans or Democrats, because then you're pitting you're again hedging against another side too. So then that's a problem. It's not just red or blue, Republicans or Democrats.
But Republicans
policies.
haven't been running these areas, and so Rudy Giuliani was, and I agree that the Rudy Giuliani today is not the same Rudy Giuliani of old. But when Rudy Giuliani, when he was mayor, he was Republican mayor of New York City. We can see a stark contrast in New York City then, based on New York City right now.
So when was then? In the 70s, 80s?
No, Rudy Giuliani. Remember, he was mayor during. Rudy Remember, Rudy Giuliani. He was mayor during September 11th.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so there was no problems in New York City.
No, it's not to say there's no problems, but you have to also understand Rudy Giuliani worked his way up. Rudy Giuliani, he came in, he wanted to go to war against the mob bosses, then he worked his way up, and then he ultimately became mayor of New York City. So he had some respect amongst people in New York City for the work and corruption he helped to clean up. I'm not saying the Republicans aren't corrupt. I'm not even a Republican. If I were elected, I'd probably caucus with the Republicans, but I'm not a Republican. I consider myself, I am here in the state of California, I'm a registered independent. If there was a party that I would say I run with, I would say I am 95 to 98%, 99% sure I would be a libertarian. But when it comes down to it, when I think about states and stuff like that, I think Republican.
Well, you got to step back.
If I can have it my way, everybody be libertarians. I think if we had libertarian governors, libertarian mayors, libertarian city councilmen, I believe we had libertarians that were actually running these places, I do think that things would be better, and that we would be able to enjoy more freedoms as a people.
What's the difference from a libertarian, Republican, and Democrat?
So, Democrat, and here's the thing: they've switched. So the Democrats, before the 60s, so you have to think, Republican Party was started by slave abolitionists. They wanted to get rid of slavery. The Democrats started because of slave owners. They wanted to keep slavery predominantly. Democrats, over the period of time, have always been, back then they were for less government. You would think. when you had the Green New Deal, when you had Theodore Roosevelt and these presidents, when they rolled out these ABC companies, the Tennessee Valley Authority and all this kind of stuff, then ultimately they became the party of government overreach. That's where, from Democrats, that's where we got public school, we got the Department of Education, we got the Department of Transportation, Department of this, Department of that, because there's more government overreach. Republicans believe in less government. Less government. Let's pull back the federal government and let's let states have control. Like right now, the state of Texas is in a fight with the federal government because Texas is saying you're not protecting the border and this is our border. So as a state, we have a right to protect ourselves when the federal government chooses not to. So now they're putting up razor wire to keep immigrants from coming into the country through the state of Texas. Federal government came in and said, you can't do that. They went to the Supreme Court. They won. The Supreme Court came and said the federal government can come in and cut the razor wire. Texas is defying them by putting up more razor wire. So, ideally, the Republicans are the party of less government, more state control. Ideally, Republicans would be the people to say, I would get in office and get rid of the Department of Education, the Department of Transportation, the Department of this. We don't need all these departments. Libertarians, the simple thing is libertarians desire freedom. We believe in allowing for people to make their own decision. Ideally, Democrats say, we need to make that decision for you. Republicans come in and say, well, I was about to say, Republicans come in and say, we need to make that decision for you. So they would come in and say, you know what, you don't need to get an abortion. Or we're going to make it a law you can't get an abortion. Make it a law you can't do this. Make it a law you can't do that. Libertarians are more so on the side of, you know what? You're a grown person. If you're grown, you should be able to make the decision that you choose to make. That's why liberty, there's freedom. You have a right to choose whatever you decide to do as an adult. Now, if we want to have a philosophical conversation about it in order to change your mind, let's do that. But outside of a philosophical conversation, there's not really much to say. Policy should not dictate freedom. Republicans, Democrats, they want policy in order to dictate freedom, and it's just not the way to go. Then you have the socialist Democrat, like for Bernie Sanders and these guys who believe more so in socialism, which I can't get behind.
Why not?
Are you serious? Okay, when the Berlin Wall came down, we got to ask ourselves the question: which way did the people run? They definitely didn't stay where they were. Like, it's like when you look at places, when you look at places, do you think about Venezuela? You think about Cuba. You think about certain places. It's like, you really want socialism? Like, do you want this? Do you want this separation of my things and then just here? And it's like, well, you don't get a chance to really make a decision on what career path you choose. We just want a certain amount of doctors, so you're going to be the doctor that's going to go in. So yes, they're going to make college free, university free. We make healthcare free, make everything free, but free comes with a cost.
That sounds good.
No, it comes with a very high. Look at Canada right now. Canada's not even Canada. Like, yeah, you can get things for free and all those things, but anytime I forget, I think it was Ronald Reagan who said, whenever the government says, I'm here to help, it's a problem. That's not an exact statement he said. I forget how he says it, but whenever the government steps in and says, I'm going to give you these things, then you have to ask yourself the question, okay, what liberty or what freedom or what am I giving up? What right am I giving up to attain this? And unfortunately, in a socialist environment, you're giving up a lot of rights in order for the government to have ultimate control.
So is welfare a good thing? Or
I think for those individuals who need it, I think there should be certain parameters in place that allows for people who get welfare, and I'll say any type of social service, allows people who get social services to be able to be educated. I think with welfare comes an educational class where we can begin to learn about money management. But then there also has to be, I think that a lot more goes into that. Like if I was a politician in a place, I'd look up, this is how many people who are on Social Security on welfare right now. And I would say, okay, depending on what the ages are, if we have people who are well-bodied, able to work, of mental mind, then let's get them educated. Let's also create a job center to help these individuals find the jobs that they need. And then let's also provide incentives for companies to move into our areas so we can open up our own Kia plant that can hire 14,000, or I'll say 1,400 people, that we can hire this chicken plant that just came in that can hire 800 people. Like, and let's enhance our trading market so that these people who are sitting at home and they may be on welfare, they can become plumbers and electricians and, painters and stuff like that. So do I think it's a problem? No. Do I think it needs to be reformed? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as a libertarian, I just But so you went to hear Cornel West. Mm-hmm. What was it that because Cornel West is running for president. Does he have a vice president yet? He doesn't have anybody he's choosing.
No,
he doesn't.
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm not going to speak for him, but I'm not sure.
But what was it that he said that you felt like captivated your attention? Is it because he's nice? Is it because?
Well, what did he say that captivated my attention? A lot of times when I'm there, I'm working, so I'm not particularly paying too much attention to what he's actually saying. But when I go back and I listen to, what I got, I paid more attention then. And he's for the people, man. Mm-hmm. He's for the people, and he's going to stand up for what's right. He's going to challenge the people that are in authority.
Yeah.
Whenever even challenged Obama when he thought that he was, out of line for whatever.
I remember that.
I couldn't tell you why. I don't remember, but I knew that he did have a lot of disagreements with him. I know they even had a roundtable discussion, which was a great roundtable discussion with him, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Tavis Smiley. Who else was there? A bunch of other people,
right?
But it was just amazing, and they criticized him for a lot of the things that they thought that he was doing wrong or wasn't, or what he was failing to do. But I think that he's going to stand up for what's right, and not be played.
Right.
I think the thing that stands out to me the most is that he has a moral center, and but that's the thing though. Like I feel like you can have a moral center, but when you're put in a position, do we bomb Syria? Or when you're put in those situations and you're in that situation room where you have to make those decisions, it's like, I feel like a lot of times that just goes. It goes on the back burner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also we don't know all the information.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying too. You don't, and so it's hard to really judge and to tell like what was the right decision, what was the wrong decision, right?
We all know right now going into Iraq was the worst decision ever. George W. Bush lied. Mm-hmm. We know that. Mm-hmm. George W. Bush, he lied.
Weapons of mass destruction.
It all came out. The Halliburton was connected to Dick Cheney. Mm-hmm. Dick Cheney, and ultimately, in my opinion, it became a big oil grab. Mm-hmm. It became a big grab for money. Removing Saddam Hussein was probably the worst decision that could have been made. While he may not have been as friendly towards us, Saddam Hussein he's the guy that we could say was holding back, Al Qaeda and all that stuff from really forming. And the same thing with what's the other guy's name? I forget his name. But anyway, trying to go out and snuff him out under a hole like a rat. It was like,
you talking about the guy who Obama killed?
What was his what was his name? Shoot, I could think of his name. But anyway, we know that Iraq, that going into Iraq was a big mistake. Mm-hmm. The weapons of mass destruction, everything else. When it came down to a disruption in the Middle East, America can take a big part of that. Mm-hmm. Like we cause major disruption. Mm-hmm. Where those terrorists were from that bombed our country. If I was president, then yes, I wanted to find who those terrorists were. Yes, I want to find where those terrorist networks are, but I also want to figure out how they were able to get into my country. Mm-hmm. And yes, I understand that after 9/11, we got TSA, which you go through at the airport, the Transportation Service Administration. Yes, we got TSA and we got all these other measures that came through, but I would put in major safeguards to make sure that these individuals did not infiltrate the country again. That was an infiltration. That was a Trojan horse that came in under his watch, and I think that he had to come up with a place that say this is where they came from, bomb that place. But we have to, and that's the same thing right now, even with the issue between between Hamas and Israel.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Gaza right now is in the center of it, because a lot of people in the people of Gaza are not even affiliated with Hamas, but you have Hamas that have probably made a home there in Gaza in many of those places. So yes, it's like innocent children are dying.
Well, why is Hamas doing what they're doing?
Well, I mean,
That's
because they don't want Israel. They don't want Israel around. They want Israel to be wiped. It's not. The argument is made for Hamas that they will not accept statehood from the Strip down. They want it from sea to sea, meaning that they want Israel gone. They want the whole thing. Israel says, "I'm not going to give you. You're not going to take Israel. You know." And now you're not going to get statehood in Gaza either. So you're not going to even go below the Strip. So now you won't get anything.
Didn't they just offer him like an island?
Who?
Did you hear about that?
Who?
They offered them Palestinians as a solution an island.
I mean, that could very well be the point. I mean, I could see that happening, but unfortunately, I don't. That would never happen. Because they're not interested in an island. They don't want just a piece. They want the whole thing. And I think this goes all the way back into, Bible times. I don't want to say Bible times, but this goes back, thousands of years into just an overtaking of land. And it's biblical in so many ways, but I think the point is still the same, that you have these terrorist organizations that find homes, that they find homes inside of certain places, and ultimately innocent people become casualties, which is the same way that in America right now, we have major sleeper cells. I think if we are just waiting for the day to come when America is attacked again, especially due to the invasion right now at our southern and our northern border. Coming in through Canada and coming up through Mexico, America has major sleeper cells. We don't know who these people are. We don't know where they're from. We don't know. I mean, they have a phone, they have money, they have all these things. They're given housing and everything else, but we don't have major information on them. And I think that that's problematic.
For the people that are coming in?
For the people that are coming in, absolutely.
What do you mean, like major information as far as what?
Well, we need to know. Okay, so where'd you come from? You have people who are crossing over who they don't have an ID. Because they're trying to start fresh. They don't have an ID. And some people are innocent in this. Some people are saying, I'm escaping Venezuela because it is hard there. I want to come to America because I want the dream. Or I'm escaping this place. And I get it. They're coming here. They're leaving their IDs. They're leaving all those things back. And we have no way of knowing. It's not like we have their fingerprints here in American system. We don't know who they are. So you just think if you're a terrorist out of Afghanistan,
come right on in.
Then you just say, okay, well, we're going to fly into Mexico City, and then we're gonna join part of this caravan that's making its way up, and we'll just go in through the southern border. We'll get in. We'll make home in Idaho, where we won't think anything of it, and we'll just do all of our planning there. And then when the time comes, boom.
You think something like that's going to happen?
Absolutely. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely. We have sleeper cells. There was a news report I heard the other day that said that the cartel is running an operation, and I'm quite sure they've been doing this for years. They're running their operation in all 50 states of America. So if the cartel can run an operation in all 50 states in America, I know terrorist organizations can infiltrate America at any point in time. And unfortunately, this administration is just allowing for it to happen.
And that's the thing. It's like, why are they allowing it to happen?
Because I think a couple of things. Number one, for politicians, redistricting. When they get ready to rezone their areas, if they have a high influx of immigrants in their area, then that's going to show a high population, and that's going to be able to help them when they redistrict to make sure that that location remains Democrat. And then also, they're going to remind them, hey, it was the Democrats who let you in. So when they get jobs, when they become citizens and all those, or when they get an opportunity to vote, because now you even have some of those places who are saying, we want immigrants to be able to vote. Well, why? Because if I got 70,000 new immigrants in a city,
that's a bunch of votes.
a Republican will never be able to win. So Democrats will always stay in power. So it's destructive, it's irresponsible, but it's happening. Now, my heart breaks for people who come because they come here with pure innocence. I want to make this work. And then the other big red herring or big red flag is sex trafficking.
Did you see that movie?
The Sound of the Wind, or the new one that just came out. Somebody told me to watch it. I haven't seen it.
I don't even want to watch it, but I heard about it. I've been hearing not 5-star reviews, but just that it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's sex trafficking, child trafficking. I think that's a big part of it too. I mean, that's a big enterprise. It's a black market, $1 billion a year industry, and it's going. And I wouldn't be surprised if our American politicians weren't in on it.
Oh, they are for sure. And that's why I think Donald Trump has succeeded in the way that he did, because he kind of came from the outside with a different perspective and really tried to like speak truth to power.
Yeah.
And I think Cornel West does the same thing too. I think he does. He speaks truth to power, but it's just going to be difficult for him because, man, they're
gonna think he's a crazy black man. The hair, the look, the everything. They're gonna think, oh, this is a crazy black man. They'll be like, because he doesn't. They won't consider him to be presidential. At least not in America. He would. I would assume that Cornel West could probably do well in a lot of educated areas, but when it came to the South, when it came to him running in Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, those are places that just were looking at him and wouldn't give him a fair shot, in my opinion. New York City, Jersey, places. Well, Jersey can be a little bit more conservative, but New York City, Connecticut, Delaware, they may be more open to listen to him. California, a lot more open to listen to him. But in states that I think he really need to garner support, they look at him and say, he's not presidential. He's an old crazy black man.
Which is, I don't even know how that narrative would come about, but it's about looks, because he's not talking nothing crazy. It's only that what he's talking is unity, peace, and stop the war, stop the crime, stop the killing.
Right.
It's not crazy. It's not crazy rhetoric at all. It's just really addressing, the people that are doing it and that are in control of it.
Yeah, I think his look has a lot to play in it.
Yeah.
President Obama, he had a look that could get over. He had a look that at least people can look at him and say, I know he's brown, or white folks say, I know he's darker skinned, but but we got to listen to him. He's one of the smart ones, he's well educated. Listen to how he talks, and so I think, a lot of it has to go into play. I mean, even Michelle talks about how, or First Lady Obama, how she talks about that, she didn't get her hair braided. There was a certain way she had to wear her hair, but as soon as she got out of the White House, she got her hair braided. Like it was just certain things that she couldn't walk around with an afro, because that scares away the people. And unfortunately, the people who typically vote in a fair election, who typically vote for elections, are those independents, those weary individuals who need to go in and make those final votes because they're not with a single party. But that's in a fair election. If there's a stolen election, then anybody can do it. I mean,
So you don't think he has a shot?
you can be dead. Who? Cornel West? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think Cornel West has a shot whatsoever. No.
He's the only person I would vote for.
Well, I mean, and that's completely fair. That's completely fair. I don't see him having a shot only because Donald Trump right now.
And maybe Kennedy.
Oh.
It would be either between him or Kennedy who I would vote for.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I know some individuals right now who are jumping on the Kennedy train. I mean, I know Kennedy, he jumped from Democrat to independent, which I think I feel like he should have ran independent in the first place. I feel like that's more of his lane.
What is he in now? He jumped from what?
He's now an independent candidate. So he was Democrat. He was running against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
But Joe Biden refused to debate him. So he's like, and he's not getting any steam with Democrats because Democrats are like, we don't want you. We want Joe. For some odd, I'm just like, why would you want that?
Because Joe looks presidential.
He
looked presidential.
He looked presidential 10 years ago.
He aged, but that's what the White House does to you. The presidency does it.
He looked presidential 10 years ago.
When he was with Obama, for sure. I was like, there's no.
Before Obama, he looked presidential. But Joe Biden ran for president, I think 3 or 4 times and lost. He ran for president 3 or 4 times and he lost.
Yeah, Obama was the springboard for
And
that, for sure.
and ultimately we ran against Trump. In my opinion, he lost, but he won. There's no way you can prove to me that election was not rigged. There's nothing that can be said, nothing can be done that can prove to me.
How so?
I've never seen it where I remember watching election night and they were like, Fulton County is currently closing down at 10 o'clock p.m. because they will resume tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on counts. These are districts. These are big districts. Typically on election night, they would count throughout the night. Like I remember, bro, when elections were when votes came in, and we knew who the president was on election night.
Yeah.
Now it's gotten to the point of we don't know who the president is 2 or 3 days later after. That's insane. So you're telling me these big counties in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in places where we know Donald Trump would do well. These places, their polling stations closed down. They're going to resume. Counting in the morning. I'm sorry. But no,
Whatever you got to do to win.
Where Donald Trump had an outstanding lead, and then now it shrunk, or Joe Biden overtook him. And then the other thing is, Joe Biden never campaigned, hardly. Remember he came to Georgia, and everybody had to sit in their car. I didn't go, but people there, they were sitting in their car because of the COVID thing, and he was on his. He rarely campaigned. So you're telling me that this man...
Did he get 80-something million votes?
They claim that he got more votes than President Obama.
Which is wild. But I can see that too because the only reason why I can see that...
Because your cat can vote and you don't even have a cat.
No. The only reason why I can see that is because more people wanted to show up for him to beat Trump.
They didn't show up for him to beat Trump because remember they used COVID and they said you didn't have to stand in line. You could do the absentee ballot and then you can also bring the absentee ballot after the fact and all this other kind of stuff. Bro, absolutely not.
Whatever you got to do to win. And he won. He did.
But that's the part that gets me. You trying to tell me this man was more popular than Ronald Reagan during his time? This man was more popular than Barack Obama?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
His approval rating right now is lower than where Donald Trump's was this time of his presidency. His approval rating is like 9 or 11 points below where President Obama was during his presidency. So you're trying to tell me that Joe Biden was are you really trying? There is no way you can tell me that Joe Biden, a man who didn't even campaign, is more popular.
So what do you think? They was just creating fake votes?
I think there was a lot of ballot harvesting. I think there were a lot of fake votes. I think they had the dead people who were voting and the cats that they didn't have who were voting.
Would
I
that
think
be
a lot of
something
things
to
that
easily prove, though?
Well, people they've been trying to prove it, and in certain places they've come back. Well, no, because in certain places, look at that, in certain places they've came back and said 11,000 votes, even in Fulton County, 11,000 votes, 123,000 votes were this and this. These votes weren't right, or the signatures weren't right. Because in ballot harvesting, what these people would do is they go to these old folks' homes, they get all the people's names, and then they would sign them. They have the people to sign them, then they vote in who they wanted. Take that, boom, ballot harvesting, take it all. And you just dump all the ballots into the absentee voting bin.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Everybody, unless
You go to somebody's house, you say who you want to vote for,
no,
check it
absolutely
off.
not. No, that ain't how that works. Because I don't trust you to deliver the vote unless you are my caretaker, and you have a legal responsibility over me. You should not in any way handle my ballot. I knew this was going to be tricky. When we first moved to California was going through a recall vote. I hurried up to register to vote because I wanted to be a part of that recall vote. I went up to go vote. I remember walking inside of the voting booth, and I went up to the lady and I said, yes. She's like, "You're here to vote?" I said, "Yes." She's like, "Thank you for doing your civic duty." I said, "Thank you so much." And I took out my wallet. I took out my wallet, took out my driver's license, and I said, "Here you go." She looked at me. She said, "Oh, we don't need that." She said, "What is your name?" She looked up my name, did something on the computer. Zzz, she was like, "Put this inside the machine over there." And I looked at her and I said, "You don't need my driver's license to confirm who I am?" She said, "No."
What if she could have confirmed from her computer?
Because I told her what my name was. What if I would have walked in there and said my name is Jared Behringer?
Then Jared Behringer would have voted.
But I'm not Jared Behringer.
Hey.
You see, that's the problem I'm
Whatever you got to do to win.
I was like, I remember going up and I was like, why am I even doing this?
Life ain't fair. You can't play by the rules. You can't play by the rules.
All right.
You got to break the rules.
To all the libertarians out there, I want you to know, you just heard of this guy right here. We got to start breaking some rules.
You got to break the rules. I mean, you got to.
Hey, I'm
rules
a
are
fan.
meant to be broken.
I'm a fan of breaking rules. So right now, you throwing out who you got for 2024? You gonna stick with Cornell?
I'm sticking with Cornell. He's the only person I'm going to vote for sure.
Or if not, if he doesn't,
I will not
cross
vote.
over, then. Well, you also said Robert Kennedy.
I won't vote for Robert.
Okay, well you won't vote. Why is it? Because he's white. That wasn't a real question, but if you
let me think about that for a second. No, it's not, because I don't. My vote is precious, and I'm not just going to throw my vote out there to somebody that, I like them, but I don't really care for too much.
Hey, that's completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely fine. Hey, I get it. I understand it. I rock with it. I respect that.
So if I have to drive up to somewhere and cast my bat and put in my time and energy to vote for somebody, they got to be the one.
I wonder if he's already on the ballot in all 50 states.
I think he just got on Oregon's ballot.
He did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I was about to ask.
I just got an email or something like that he he just got on Oregon's ballot.
Yeah, because I know they have to have a certain number
but they're taking
of
Trump
signatures.
Yeah. They're taking Trump off a couple ballots.
No,
states.
The state Supreme Court came back and said that was illegal. They couldn't do that. They knew they couldn't do that. Oh, yes, they couldn't do that. They're just trying to do everything they can to just subvert Trump from being able to run. And that's why the Democrats get me.
He's going to win.
Bro, the Democrats get me. Like,
he's going to win.
Their ideology to go after this man is just so ignorant to me, because he's using it all against them. He's been indicted. I think, what is it, like 91 indictments?
Mm-hmm.
He's been indicted, but it's like, it's made him more popular. He's become more of a martyr, because now he's looking. I forget who the rapper was who came out and was like, "Dang, like I wasn't even for Trump before, but now it feel like they treating Trump how they treat us." Because Trump is who's Trump? Trump is against the FBI. He's against the Justice Department. He's against the media, because the media has always painted a bad narrative of him. When you think about black people, specifically black men have been against who? The FBI. They've been against who? The Justice Department, because they don't feel like they're getting justice. They're against the media because they feel like they always spin a negative narrative about black men. When you think about that, black men are watching what they're doing to Trump. Trump already had, I want to say it was like 16% or something like that, of black men who supported him, which is a high number of black men to support a Republican candidate. The fact that he's
now
running
it's
again.
16%?
No, it was back then in 2016. I can only imagine how many black men. I don't suspect there to be a lot of black women. Black women typically keep it close to the chest, and they're the ones who usually pull Democrats over the edge. Black women have become the superheroes for Democrats. Black men are noticing. Meek Mill came out and said he's voting for Trump. The rappers are Sexy Red. I think it was Sexy Red. I think it was Sexy Red who's like Trump. The rappers are coming out.
Talking about my booty hole brown.
Yeah. Put some pink in a booty hole brown. Yeah, that's her. But hey, you know what? However you got to do it, because the hood. When you think about the hood, when you think about those areas, they feel like the media doesn't portray them well. They feel like the police are corrupt. When they think of police, they think of FBI, Justice Department. They're corrupt. Y'all just trying to trump me with charges. Y'all doing the same thing to Trump. So now in rap videos, they talking about some free Trump. And I'm just looking at Democrats like, what are y'all doing?
Backfired.
You're making this man a martyr. He's become more popular now.
Yeah.
People who wouldn't support him in the past are looking and saying, oh yeah, I'm definitely supporting him now. Or who are on the fence about supporting him, like, I'll support him now. Because anytime you ask somebody who says he deserves to be in jail for a crime, they say, what's the crime? Well, he's mean. But you know somebody who Hillary Clinton, like Bill? The
Hunter.
Epstein list just came out, bro. We saw all these people names on the Epstein list. You don't even hear about it on the news anymore.
Nope.
So what happened to all those people who were on the plane? Now we have proof who was on the plane. You have proof of all this stuff. Is there an investigation to find out who those people were and what they were doing, if they were involved in child trafficking? Is there nothing?
Stephen Hawking got up out of here. He said, you know what? I'm done.
I mean,
I'm gone.
He wasn't moving too fast anyway, because he could only go 40 miles an hour in that chair.
Said, 40.
I think them chairs can move.
40 miles per hour.
He probably had one of them like supercharged. Like,
even though the people that were on the plane, it's not an indictment to like that they did wrong.
And I'm not saying they did anything wrong, but I'm saying, is there even an investigation?
Yeah.
To discover what was going on the island?
There has to be. There has to be.
Ain't nobody investigating that. Because who's going to investigate? The FBI and the Justice
I just think
Department?
it's
They're
silent
involved.
right now.
Huh? I think they are all. Listen, Jeffrey Epstein he became a martyr for their system. He became a face for their system. But it has always been their system. They propped him up. They propped him up. They killed him so that ultimately he can become the name, the face, and the martyr for their system, so they can continue their system. But the system is deep. Prince Andrew.
You think he killed himself?
The autopsy even shows he couldn't have killed himself, because the markings they said that were around his neck would not be consistent with hanging of anything he had in his room. It would have had to been a stronger grasp, which would ultimately indicate hands. And then during the time that he died, somehow the cameras weren't working, and then the workers were away. So all the workers decided to take a break at the same time.
I mean, if it was hands though, you would see actual hand marks, wouldn't you? Because if I grab you like this,
If I did
fingers.
listen,
Unless you kind of,
And you know what? It couldn't. It may not have been hands.
it might have been.
It could have been. But it could have also
sheep,
been.
so-
They took it and wrapped it around him, and but they had to get him up out of there real quick.
Dang.
And then, but you know, the new argument is, well, if that's the case, why don't they do anything to Maxwell? Because they're not. Because now they're looking at it like he's already gone. Nobody's listening to Maxwell. Give Maxwell. She has a prison sentence right now, you know, but she's not talking.
She's in prison?
She's in prison.
Jelaine.
Yeah, she's in prison, but I mean, you know, she's probably playing tennis every day, and she's probably crocheting, and you know, she probably eats vegan meals every day. I don't doubt that she's living a hard life
In prison, yeah.
and I highly doubt she's living a hard
Got
life
that
in
Martha
prison.
Stewart sentence.
Yeah, she probably definitely has a Martha. Listen, these people are gonna take care of their own, and so, but again, when it comes down to those poor, impoverished areas, they're looking at Donald Trump and they're saying, like Atlanta and Georgia, I know they're trying to get Joe Biden. And
Georgia turned blue when Biden ran, didn't it? I remember that. blue.
Yeah. Joe Biden
That was
won
crazy.
Georgia.
Fair and square.
Ain't no
Outright.
way Joe Biden won Georgia. I don't care how you spin it, but listen, this is why I got to say this. If the Democrats going to cheat, they better cheat hard this time, because I'm telling you, them Negroes in Fulton County, them Negroes in DeKalb County, they coming out, and I guarantee you they will not vote for President Obama. And even though President Biden, and even though Kamala may come down there,
We loved Obama.
even though I never said I disliked Obama. I said his policies. That's all. But when Kamala come there, black folks really don't like her
Why?
because she's been absent. She hasn't said anything. She hasn't done anything.
So
Granted,
what?
vice presidents.
Dick Cheney was
vice presidents
Dick
don't
Cheney?
do much. Dick Cheney was president.
I'm talking president,
Dick Cheney ran George Bush. I guarantee you
but
that.
quiet. You ain't hear from me, no.
Because he was always, he never wanted to be a politician. He never ran for office.
Isn't that what Kamala's doing right now, though?
Doing what?
Isn't she the one out there speaking all the time and being the face? Or no.
They
Isn't
don't
she-
want
isn't-
her speaking.
Isn't she? They don't want Joe speaking.
They don't want neither one of them speaking. That's why neither one of them speaking.
I'd rather have Kamala speaking than Joe.
I mean, you would, but then the fact is, every time she gets up there, she stumbles over something, and it's just like, you know, she messes up, or yeah. I don't understand the logic between the two. But anyway, that's not like what you said. When people go vote, they're looking for looks and all those things. When black folks and people are out there looking at candidates, they want to know, what are you doing for me? Okay, we got you in there, so you would say, we got you in there because you said you was a black woman. You was this, you was that. When Kamala Harris ran for senator, I think she was also attorney general of California, but when she ran for senator in California, she didn't run as a black woman. Because
What do you mean?
because Kamala Harris has other heritage descent.
She ran as a what?
I mean, Kamala Harris has other heritage descent. I'm gonna butcher this. I don't know if she's Indian. I forget, but she started running as a black woman when she ran for president because she knew
She get the black votes from
black
women.
women. Black women have become the heroines of the Democratic Party. Black women is what pushes it over the edge. And I don't care what you say, but that name recognition and all that stuff is important. That's the reason why Nikki Haley won't go by her real name.
Which is
She's Indian. So it's one of those really long names.
what?
Nikki Haley's not her name. Nikki Haley's not her name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, her name is not Nikki Haley. Yeah, she's Indian. She's purebred Indian.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's
Wow.
Indian. She's Indian. She is not.
Wowzers.
Yeah, her name is Hey Siri. What is Nikki Haley's name? Nimarata.
Nimarata.
Was it Nimarata? Renhawa?
Let me see that. Rondowa.
Rondoa. Yeah, her name is Nimarata. When it comes to her trying to win Republican votes in New Hampshire, Nikki goes a long way, goes much further than Nimarata. South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Louisiana. Because you understand them in Baton Rouge somehow.
Nimarata.
Your name is Nimarata. I'm not voting for no Nimarata.
Nimarata.
I vote for Nikki.
Nim Obama. That's what it sounds like.
Near Obama. That's what it goes. Like, yeah, near Obama. And that's where it comes from.
But she don't stand a chance anyway.
You said who?
She don't stand a chance anyway.
Who, Nikki? Oh, absolutely not.
So who's going to be Trump's vice president?
Oh.
We already know, but
Who do you think it's going to be?
we already know.
I believe if I had to pick a vice president for him, because ultimately it would help to set him up for 2028, and I'm going to throw this out there, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a vice president needs to be someone who is almost like your attack dog. The thing about Trump is that he doesn't really need an attack dog. Reason why George W. Bush had Dick Cheney, because Dick Cheney is an attack dog. He's he's one of them silent ones that you be dead and don't even know it until after you're dead. Vivek, you need a cheerleader. That's your vice president needs to be. Mm-hmm. He's not going to do much for 4 years, but if he stays in there for 4 years, the country does great. He gets a chance to run again as president, and then he could have a potential 8-year run. Vivek Ramaswamy, I think he is smart. I love how he talks truth to power, is what he always says. Mm-hmm. I love that, that he
really stands for America, puts America first. That's his whole platform. He ran on a platform of America first without tearing down the originator of America first. Not one time in Vivek's speeches, not one time did he ever come against Trump. Mm-hmm. And I believe that he has been vying for the vice president nomination long before we even thought about it. Vivek Ramaswamy, when it comes down to it, Vivek would be the guy. If Trump goes and chooses Tim Scott, in my opinion, no. Like, I hear Tim Scott speak, and I'm just like, get this guy in public. Ron DeSantis.
Speak. No, you don't. The last thing you need is two white dudes up there, and plus Ron is no, not Ron. Ron is too sane.
What about what's it called from New Jersey?
Chris Christie? Mm-hmm. Oh, you that would be a fight. That would be they would never get along. Oh God, no. Nikki Haley, that couldn't work because now most Republican base dislikes her and they don't trust her. They feel like she's an operative for the Democrats. So that doesn't work. People have thrown up Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, but I don't think that would be. I mean, even though Marco Rubio, he is of
Latin.
what island? Yeah, he's of Latin descent, so could add something to it, but no. Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, no. Forget the governor from what is it? Noam, or whatever her name is. The governor from South Dakota. I don't.
Do you know who would beat
I think
Vivek,
she would be
though?
another Sarah Palin, huh?
You know who would beat Vivek?
Who would beat him?
Mm-hmm. When he runs for president?
Who?
Jeffries, or what's his name?
Hakeem Jeffries? Man, you better go somewhere and leave me alone. You better go. Look,
Yeah.
Jeffries, when it comes
He
down
would
to
beat him. Yep. Like he stole something.
he has a great chance because when he speaks, when he talks, when he stands, it's like watching a young senator from Illinois running for president and Barack Obama.
That's why I said he will beat him like he stole something.
But Vivek is not Trump. Vivek is not
He's
an
fake
old
to
white
me.
dude. Who?
Vivek. He's fake. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to really throw shade on anybody like that, but to me,
Why do you feel like he's fake? I mean, because a lot of Republicans feel the same way. They feel that's why they didn't support Vivek, because they felt like he's a Trojan horse. He's a red herring. He's not who he says he is. He's fake. He's false. Is that because he's a brown man? Is that because he speaks well? Is that because he's intellectual? Is that because he came out of left field and we don't know who he is? Which is the same thing that Barack Obama did. Like, what is it about him that makes people feel like he's fake?
The way you speak, it has to be the same at all times.
That's how he talks.
Mm-hmm. No.
We are America.
There's an air about him that is like, that's not you on a regular.
I mean, I would agree with that. I think it'd be easy for you to say that he does come across.
But I don't know who
arrogant.
he is on a regular. But I can tell that's not like, nobody acts like that. Like,
I can tell you
on the regular.
I'd probably look at that and say he probably sounds a bit arrogant, but also like, think about who he's running with.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's running with Trump, you're talking about arrogance.
Yeah, but he's that. That's who he is.
But
we've you're going to get that all the time.
We've always known that from watching him on TV, from seeing him on commercials, from seeing him in movies. We've always known that to be Trump.
And that's who you're going to get all the time.
But
Trump's not going
know
up there
that.
trying to act like a politician and trying to be like
But
very
we don't
stately.
But
in
that's
the way
who
he talks.
Vivek is. Vivek is stately. Vivek is a businessman.
He's doing that because of the position that he's running for.
Well, I mean,
but he ain't
could
like that.
be.
I'm guaranteed he ain't like that in person.
Nobody's like that in person. I mean, shoot,
That's why he's fake.
I'm quite sure.
That's why I'm saying he's fake. That's why. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. And you know what? He could very well be, but
But he will be the VP. I'm sure.
I think Trump would do well if he picked Vivek. I really do. I don't think that there's Kristi Noem. I think that was her name, Kristi Noem, governor from South Carolina. But I do believe if you pick Kristi Noem, I do believe she would be the same way. He made the same mistake that John McCain made when he chose Sarah Palin.
Mm.
I do think so. Even though I think Kristi, I think it's her second term as governor, but I do believe that he would probably end up making the same mistake as Sarah Palin, because when you put somebody like that on a national stage, I think it'd be problematic. Mm-hmm. If he wants to choose a woman, then you need to go with Nikki Haley. She understands national politics. She's out there. She's walking. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to just go around and give speeches. It's another thing to be on the ground, headquarters, shaking hands, kissing babies, meeting people, sitting out in living rooms, sitting down. That's completely different.
Yeah.
If he wants a woman, go with Nikki Haley. Some Republicans are going to turn against you, but go with Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
If you want America first all the way, Trump. And then that gives Trump, I think, some viability, because with Vivek brings in a younger generation of Republicans and conservatives and America First people. And then also Trump can come in and say, listen, the main argument you've been making against me is that I'm a racist. I'm not a racist. But unfortunately, it's like, here's my black friend, or here's my brown friend. Right. Here's my brown friend. So, I think it could work some. The Republican Party has always needed diversity. And finally, on a Republican ticket, to have diversity, I mean, I think it's about first time having diversity on a Republican ticket. It's typically old white dudes.
Yeah. I like Vivek or Vivek. I don't know how you really pronounce it. I don't have a problem with him, but
You just think he's fake?
I just think he acts, in a way that he doesn't probably normally act or speak.
So in our terms, you would say Vivek is code switching. I think we all code switch sometimes. I mean, you don't talk the same way at home that you talk on your job. Because at home, you'd be like, man, shut that. No. And at the job, you'll be like, yo, shut up. No, you don't do that, So it's like, you code switch.
You don't say the things that, no, there's a difference. You might not say the things that you would normally say on the job, but acting in a different way, like I'm not going to work like, hi, everybody. Can we make sure that we have these things in order for the show tonight? Like I'm not talking like that.
At work,
I might exclude a curse word, or I might not cuss somebody out the way that I would
At
Not
home.
normally. I don't normally cuss people out, but I'm just saying I might exclude a couple words, but I'm acting in a different way. That's another thing.
So, well, I don't know, but
You know?
ultimately, Vivek Ramaswamy would be the best vice presidential candidate. I think that's the way we should go. But I'm all tapped out. Yo, thank y'all so much for joining us. Make sure you share this with your family, your friends, your cousins, all those people. Yo, thank you for rocking with us. We're gonna be back here. Remember, we're back here every Wednesday. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, and make sure that you click that notification so you know exactly when they're being downloaded. When you want to watch this live, just go to my YouTube channel, Cornelius Lindsay. You can find my YouTube channel there, and you can watch all of this live. So appreciate y'all being with us, and go. Who's your candidate for 2024?
Oh, go vote for Cornell.
Go vote
do America a favor.
Do America a favor and go vote for Cornell.
Vote for my boy.
Well, we're going to see right now. But right now, Trump is in the lead, and right now he's also beating Joe Biden in a potential matchup race. So it looks like we're going to have another Trump presidency. Hopefully with a Vivek.
That's what he said in 2000 and what?
Well, I mean, I did. I thought the same was going to happen in the last election, but ultimately elections are made to be stolen. So, so we'll do that. Hey, y'all, we love y'all, man. For real though. Introduces, we out.
Peace, y'all.